Recall that the section of Tatpurushaha runs from 2122 down to 2222. We are now coming to the end of that section. We have already studied the Sutram 2219, which is Upapadam Ating. We know very well that this Sutram Upapadam Ating is a very important Sutram which prescribes Upapada Samasaha. That is a special category of the Tatpurusha Samasaha. Let us now take a look at the prior Sutram 2218. This Sutram also is a very important Sutram. It prescribes another special category of Tatpurusha Samasaha. Sutram reads Ku Gati Pradayaha. The Vritti says Ete samarthena nityam samasyante sa tatpurushaha. We know as per the Paribhasha Sutram 211 samarthah padavidihi that any operation which is prescribed involving one or more terms having the designation padam can only take place if the terms are syntactically related. There has to be samarthyam. If there is no syntactic relationship, then the operation cannot take place. So we cannot blindly apply the rules. We have to first see if there is samarthyam or not. That is why the Vritti says samarthena. The Adhikara of Vibhasha is coming down from 2111. That runs all the way down to 2229. But the Anuvritti of Nityam runs down from 2217 down to 2220. Hence the compounding prescribed by the Sutram 2218 is not optional. It is obligatory, which means that we cannot have a Swapada Vigraha Vakyam for a compound which is formed using the Sutram 2218. Either there will be no reasonable Vigraha or the Vigraha has to be done using terms which are not in the compound. Now we also know the Adhikara of Sahasupa, which runs down from 214 down to 2222. But the Vritti of the Sutram 2218 does not say Samarthena Subantena. It just says Samarthena. Why is that? Why not Samarthena Subantena as per the Adhikara of Sahasupa coming down from 214? The reason is that we will soon be seeing a Paribhasha which reads Gatikarakopa Padanam Krudbhis Saha Samasa Vachanam Prak Subutpattehe, which tells us that a compounding of a term having the designation gati or karakam or upapadam with a term ending in a krit affix should be done prior to attaching a sup affix to the term ending in a krit affix. There are some reasons for that which we'll see in detail when we take up the Paribhasha. We don't have to go into the reasons right now. For the time being, we can only note that a term having the designation gati compounds with a term ending in a krit affix prior to adding a sup affix to the term ending in the krit affix. That is why the Vritti Sutram does not say samarthena subantena. A gati samasaha is not formed with a subantam. It is formed with a krudantam which has not taken a sup affix. Hence the Vritti Sutram just says samarthena, shabdantarena, not necessarily subantena. Okay, so the meaning of the Sutram is the indeclinable terms having the designation gati as well as the terms pra etc. invariably compound with a syntactically related term and the resulting compound gets the designation tatpurushaha. We already know the designation gati which is prescribed by the Sutram 1460 gatischa, and we also know the 22 terms pra etc. which are referred to in the Sutram 1458 pradayaha. So these are well known to us, and as already mentioned, Anuvritti of Nityam, meaning invariably, comes down from the prior Sutram 2217. Nityam Krida Jivikayoho. That is why we say Nityam Samasyante. The next note here says that Ku Shabdotra Vyayam Grihyate Natu Prithivi Vachako Gatyadi Sahacharyat, meaning that the term Ku used in this Sutram refers to the indeclinable Ku and not the feminine noun kuhu meaning earth. We infer this from the fact that in the sutram, ku has been listed alongside gati terms and pra etc., which are all indeclinables. Sahacharyam means association. The association of ku with gati and pradaya tells us that in this sutram 2.2.18, the term ku does not stand for the feminine noun meaning earth, it stands for the indeclinable ku. Next note says that designation gati is prescribed in the section from 1460 gatishcha down to 1479 jivikopanishada vaupamye. We have already studied the sutram 1460 gatishcha, and we will be taking a look at some more rules in that section from 1460 to 1479 shortly. Okay, the next note says that the paradiganaha is listed as follows: para, para, apa, sam, anu, ava, nis, nir, dus, dur, vi, ang, ni, adhi, api, ati, su, ud, abhi, prati, pari, upa. The ending letter ng at the end of ang is a it letter. So after removing the it letter by tasya lopaha 139, what remains is only a. We have already listed these 22 terms in this pradiganaha when we studied the sutram pradayaha 1458. Next note says that pradigrahanam agatyartham means that the mention of pradi in the sutram is to enable compounding in those instances where pra etc. do not have the designation gati. From the sutram 1460 gatishcha, we know that the terms pro etc. get the designation gati in addition to the designation upasargaha, but only when these terms pro etc. are used in connection with a verb in the form of a kridantam or a tingantam. But when the terms pro etc. are not used in conjunction with a kridantam or a tingantam, then they do not have the designation gatihi or upasargaha. They are just pradayaha. For example, we will soon be studying the compound shobhanaha purushaha supurushaha, a lovely man. Now here, su meaning shobhanaha is not being used in conjunction with a verbal form. So if the sutram 2.2.18 kugati pradayaha did not mention pradayaha, then we would not have been able to form this compound supurushaha. But compounds such as supurushaha are used in the language. They are authorized. Therefore the sutram 2.2.18 mentions pradayaha in addition to gati. Okay, then why don't we drop the term gati and just keep pradayaha? The reason, as we already know when we studied the sutram 1460 gatishcha, is that the term gati is not restricted to the pradayaha. There are a number of terms besides the terms pro etc. which can also get the designation gati as described by the rules from 1461 through 1479. Therefore, it is important to mention gati as well as pradayaha in the sutram 2.2.18. Okay, now let us take an example using the avyayam ku. The example here is kutsitaha purushaha equals kupurushaha, a despicable man. Now remember, this is a nitya samasaha, and a nitya samasaha cannot have a swapada vigraha. Therefore we have to use some other word in place of ku to describe the compound. So therefore the vigraha is kutsitaha purushaha ku purushaha. That is the laukika vigraha. The alaukika vigraha, of course, we use ku plus purusha plus su. The alaukika vigraha is always possible using the exact terms as are in the compound. It is only the laukika vigraha, which is the dissolution or analysis of the compound in a common language, non-technical language, that is either not reasonably possible or has to be constructed using terms other than those found in the compound, which is a nitya samasaha, an obligatory compound. Okay, so this compound is authorized by the sutram 2.2.18 kugati pradayaha, which specifically mentions the avyayam ku. The remaining steps are straightforward as per the sutram 1.2.43. Prathama nirdishtam samasa upasarjanam. The term ku gets resignation upasarjanam because in the samasa vidhayaka sutram 2.2.18, which prescribes the compounding, the term ku gati pradaya ends in the nominative case. And hence, as per 2230, Upasajanam Purvam, the term ku is placed in the prior position in the compound. Now, ku Purusha Su gets the designation Pratipadikam by 1246. Krit Tadita Samasascha, because we have formed a compound. This allows us to use 2471 Supo Dhatu Pratipadikayoho to perform the look elision on the sup affix su, which is inside the compound Pratipadikam. So we get the final form of the compound Pratipadikam as ku Purusha. And as per the Sutram 2426, Paravalingan Dvandvatat Purushayoho, the compound Pratipadikam ku Purusha is masculine, since the latter member Purusha of the compound is masculine. Declines like Rama Shabdaha. Let us now take an example of a Gati Samasaha. Example is Atitya, having gone beyond. If we had to put a Laukika Vigraha for this, we could probably say something like Ullangya. We'd have to use terms which are completely different from those which are in the compound, because this is a Nitya Samasaha. Anuvritti of Nityam coming from the prior Sutram 2217 into the Sutram 2218. This compound occurs in the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 14. Gunaneta natityatrin dehi deha samudbhavan janma mrityujara dukkhair vimukto mrutamashnute. Atitya is derived from the verbal root in gatau, preceded by the upasarga ati. Ati also gets the designation gati here as per 1460 gatishcha, because ati is being used in conjunction with the verbal root e. We begin the derivation by first adding the krit affix ktva by the Sutram 3421 Samanakritrikayoho Purvakale, which of course we have studied. So we add the affix ktva to e, because there is a Samanakarta, which is Dehi, the embodied being, who is doing two actions. And the prior action is this action of going beyond, and the latter action is the action of Ashnute, which means attains. So all the conditions for applying 3421 are satisfied, and we now have the form E plus Ktva. Now we use the Sutram 2218 Kugati Pradayaha to compound Ati with E plus Ktva, because Ati does have the designation Gati as per 1460 Gatishcha, and 2218 specifically mentions Gati. So the conditions mentioned in 2218 are satisfied, and now we have the compound Ati E Ktva. Now as per Sutram 7137, Samase Nain Purve Ktvo Lyap, the affix Ktva is replaced by Lyap, because we do have a compound in which the preceding member is not the negation particle Nain, so therefore the conditions for applying 7137 are satisfied. As per the Paribhasha Sutram 1155, Anekalshis Sarvasya, the entire term Ktva is replaced by Lyap. Now remove these letters. As per 133 Halantyam, the ending letter Pa of Lyap gets the designation It, and as per 138 Lashakva Tadjite, the beginning letter La of Lyap is a It, and by 139 Tasya Lopaha, both of them are elided, and we get Ati E Ya. Now as per Sutram 115, Kiniticha, the Gunadesha, the Guna substitution, which would have been done by 7384, Sarvadhataka Ardhadhatakayoho, in place of the letter E of the Angam is stopped. Remember, even though Lyap is not a Kit, it came in place of Ktva, which is a Kit, which has K as a It. Therefore, by Sthanivad Bhavaha, 1156, Sthanivadadesho nal vidhau, Lyap is also a Kit. It inherits the property of being a Kit from the term Ktva which it replaced. So that is how 115 applies here to stop 7384. Now we apply Sutram 61101 Akasavane Dirghaha to get Ati plus Ya. So in the place of E plus E, we substitute the long E and we get Ati Ya. Now since the affix Ya is no longer preceded by a short vowel, it is actually preceded by the long vowel E, Sutram 6171 Rasvasya Pitikritituk would not apply here. But now 6186 intervenes and says that when it comes to a possible addition of the augment tuk, the single substitution e in place of e plus e is to be treated as if it has not occurred. Thus 6171 still sees ati e ya, and hence the addition of the augment tuk does take place. Recall the Sutram 6186. It says Shatvatukora Siddha, which says that when the substitution sha or the augment tuk is to be performed, a single replacement in place of the preceding and the following letter is treated as if it has not occurred. In the present example, what we have is a substitution e in place of e plus e. So when it comes to the addition of the augment tuk, that single substitution e in place of e plus e is treated as if it has not occurred. So Sutram 6171 Rasvasya Pitikruti tuk still sees the short vowel e preceding ya, and therefore it applies. So now we get ati tuk ya. Of course, as per 1146, adyantau takitau, the augment tuk attaches after the letter e. Now we remove these letters in the augment tuk by 132. Upadeshe janunasika it, the nasal vowel u is a it, and as per 133 halantyam, the ending letter ka is a it, and by 139 tasya lopaha, both are elided, so we get the form atitya. Now atitya gets the pratipadika sanya by 1246 krit tadita samasascha. We have formed a compound, and the avyaya sanya by 1140. Ktva tosun kasunaha, with the help of 1156. Sthanivadadesho nal vidhau, because liap came in place of ktva, and 1140 ktva tosun kasunaha mentions ktva. Therefore, atitya gets the avyaya sanya. Okay, now let us take an example of a pradi samasaha. Shovanaha purushaha equals supurushaha, a lovely man. The note here says that kriya yoga bhavad gatitva bhavaha. The term su, which is part of the pradiganaha, is not being used kriya yoge in conjunction with a verbal form. So therefore su cannot get the resignation gati by 1460 gatischa. That requires kriya yoge. So that is why this is a pradi samasaha, not a gati samasaha. The alaukika vigraha is su purusha su prathama ekavachanam, compounding authorized by the Sutram 2218, which specifically mentions pradayaha. Steps are straightforward as per 1243. Prathama nidrishtam samasa upasarjanam. The term su gets the designation upasarjanam because in the Sutram 2218, which prescribes the compounding, the term kugati pradayaha ends in the nominative case, and hence as per 2230 upasarjanam purvam, the term su is placed in the prior position in the compound. Now su purusha su gets the designation pradipradikam by 1246 krit tadita samasascha, which allows us to apply 2471 supodhatu pradipradikayoho to perform the look elision on the sup affix su, which is inside the compound pradipadikam. So we get supurusha as the final compound pradipadikam. And as per the Sutram 2426, paravalingan dvandva tatpurushayoho, the compound supurusha is masculine since the latter member purusha of the compound is masculine. It declines like Rama Shabdaha.